Something about the Harry Potter villain Barty Crouch Jr. has always bugged me, but I think I'm finally starting to make sense of him. As far as dark wizards that Harry came in contact with, he was the most surprising. Not because Barty Jr. himself wasn't a known Death Eater, but because he had been disguised as Mad-Eye Moody for the entirety of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. While the final chapters revealed a great deal about who this character really was, there's still a lot we don't know. What's more, I never entirely got Barty's motivations. Barty Crouch Jr. was the son of Barty Crouch Sr., a ministry official who was the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement during the First Wizarding War. Crouch Sr. was infamous for his harshness against anyone believed guilty of dark magic or following Lord Voldemort, which made the reveal that his son was a Death Eater all the more shocking. In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry unknowingly spent a great deal of time with Crouch Jr., who played the part of Mad-Eye Moody well. So well, in fact, that his motivations as a villain become a bit confusing. Barty Crouch Jr.'s crimes and motivations in Harry Potter have always been confusing. Crouch Jr. hated Death Eaters who denied serving Lord Voldemort, but he did just that. It was easy to love Mad-Eye Moody in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, making the fact that he was a villain in disguise hard to swallow. This also meant that, in the end, I closed the book without a thorough understanding of either Mad-Eye or Barty Crouch Jr. It was hard to tell where one started and the other began. Of course, tidbits about Crouch Jr.'s past were revealed throughout the story, and his interrogation with Dumbledore filled in the gaps. We ultimately learn that he was obsessed with Lord Voldemort, devastatingly loyal, but then why did he deny him? When Crouch Jr. was sent to Azkaban, he begged his father to set him free, crying that he was innocent and had done nothing wrong. Harry witnessed this through the pensive and felt pity for the young man. However, we later learn that Crouch Jr. hated nothing more than when Voldemort's Death Eaters denied their master and, therefore, avoided Azkaban. It was for this reason that he was so effective at impersonating Mad-Eye, since they both hated nothing more than a Death Eater who got away. Despite this, Crouch Jr. himself tried to do just this. The Harry Potter books hint that Crouch was different from the other Death Eaters. Crouch Jr. didn't care about Muggles or Muggleborns. A blended image features a serious Barty Crouch and Barty Crouch Jr. being held by wizarding guards in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. While rereading Goblet of Fire, I searched for clues regarding Crouch Jr.'s motivations. Sure, he wanted to bring Voldemort back, but it didn't seem to be because he cared about wizard supremacy or the oppression of Muggles. He never mentioned anything about this. All he wanted was to be by his master's side, despite having denied being Voldemort's follower during his court hearing. Crouch Jr. wasn't the same as Lucius Malfoy or even the loyal Bellatrix Lestrange, who never denied her part in the Longbottom's torture. Instead, I found that his motivations for following Voldemort were far more tragic. After Barty Crouch as Mad-Eye told Harry that he had put his name in the Goblet of Fire, he began to monologue about how, after killing Harry, he would be Voldemort's most honored Death Eater, calling himself his closest supporter, closer than a son. Crouch Jr. didn't care about Muggles or Muggleborns because all he had ever wanted was his father's love. However, Crouch Sr. was obsessed only with dark wizards, and what better way to get the man's attention than to become one? This is why Crouch Jr. begged for his father's mercy once he was caught and why he hated Death Eaters who were never imprisoned. He had been desperate for Crouch Sr. to acknowledge that he was his son and hated anyone his father had set free because the man hadn't done this for his own child. While Crouch Jr. once tried to reject Voldemort, he became his most loyal servant, not because he revered him as a god but because he loved him as a replacement father. There's a lot we still don't know about Barty Crouch Jr. Barty Crouch Jr.'s life was short and tragic. Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter, 1. The efforts to mislead readers about Barty Crouch Jr. means that a great deal of his own story was rather confusing. Many of his acts of kindness while pretending to be Mad-Eye Moody were unnecessary to his mission and, therefore, made his past crimes confusing. His actions during his hearing and his words to Harry at the end of Goblet of Fire are contradictory, which makes it challenging to understand precisely who this character is. Add in the fact that the Harry Potter movies cut nearly everything about Crouch Jr.'s past, and there's a lot of uncertainty here. Typically, J.K. Rowling would have expanded on a character like this on Pottermore, now Wizarding World, but nothing has been explicitly written on Barty Crouch Jr., so I must content myself by reading between the lines. Crouch Sr. revealed that his son had been a top student at Hogwarts, and young Barty's mother loved him enough to sacrifice her own life for him, taking his place in Azkaban prison. I find it heartbreaking that he had so much potential and that, unlike other villains in Harry Potter, Barty Crouch Jr. didn't turn to Voldemort for power. He just wanted a father.